What do you mean I'm live? There it is. There's the camera. I am live. And how are you doing today? I'm just gonna play and see what comes up today. I just took a test that's gonna let me do what I do, and I just know it had to be now. It had to be now. It's gonna get so much harder. It's easy. Gonna get so much harder before it gets easy. It's gonna get so much harder before it gets easy. Because easy. I don't even know if you're gonna see the means that be here. Hey everybody, I'm Emma. I'm a forest whisperer and channeler from Canada. Where are you guys from? And if you like what you see, send me some likes. I'd really appreciate it. And if you really like what you see, you can subscribe. I'm gonna do this more often. Just do my artwork and let everything flow. Because we never know where it's gonna go. And I realized the more that I just do this and be in this creative space, whatever it is that I'm creating, sometimes I just need to give it the space to come out, and it has nothing to do with the artwork that I'm creating on the wall. This is just a way to get my juices flowing. This is just a way for me to get out of my body. I'm autistic. And get the things that are in my head out of my body so then I can communicate clearly to the world. Because if you don't know, some of us who have autism have either mutism or sometimes selective mutism. And I have selective mutism with auditory processing. And if I don't do my channeling and I don't get out what's going on in here, it becomes really difficult for me to communicate, and it actually is incredibly difficult for me to feel my own body. So by creating this artwork and giving the messages that I get through the artwork, it seems to be helping everything else. So I'm just going to continue doing this because I want to encourage others to do the same. That instead of having a creative, what a great word. That's an example of how my brain works. It's going so fast that it'll put two words together to get it out faster. And it's the same with my writing. I sometimes, when I write, I have all the right words. They're just completely jumbled because I'm trying to get it out of my head. It's the same with words. I'm I guess you would call it dyslexic, but I'm not really because I get everything right every single time. They're just they're never upside down. But anyway, I have a communication disorder. I have an auditory processing disorder that makes all of this. Um, oh, here, you like that? Aw, poor Mighty Ducks. He's disappointed with what he's viewing. You know, one of the things that I've really learned, not just through my artistic practice, but through my own spiritual practice and my own mental health practice, is learning to not really give a fuck about what anybody else thinks. Hi, thank you so much, Fallen Soldier. Thanks for joining. Where are you? I'm in Canada. I live in a forest, just kind of like an hour outside of Toronto. Justin Bieber's like one of my closest neighbors. We're not friends. Don't get excited. I can't give you any details on Justin Bieber, but he is one of my direct neighbors. Um, so that's kind of where I am. I do not live in a house like Justin Bieber. We built our house 20 years ago, and we built it out of solid concrete. It's like ICF. It's like 13 inches thick. We're kind of like some people may be like, oh, you're a survivalist. We're not survivalists. I'm not that. I like creature comforts. Um, oh, thank you, James, for your comment. I appreciate it. So I just kind of, over the past 5 years, have been learning how to process what's going on in my brain. I had a extreme autistic burnout, and I ended up like pretty much incapacitated. If you've ever had an extreme burnout, oh, thanks. I I pretty much had to learn how to be all over again. Like my brain just couldn't process anything. My brain couldn't even be, I mean, it couldn't be a mom, it couldn't be a friend to myself. My brain just hated me and was telling me that my life was miserable. Thanks, Tommy. Um, so I had to start doing things that kind of challenged my brain and made me like think outside of my previous thought processes. Yeah, there's a snake here. I channel intuitive messages for the planet. This one, you can actually go back and watch my videos. It's kind of morphed a lot, but this was it's rather timely, especially here in Ontario, where we keep avoiding the pain that is right in front of us. This is a sword, and our own tail, like our own tail is the sword. We're creating our own pain because we are not focused on the right thing, and we keep voting in the wrong people. I'm not saying I know who the right people are, but the wrong people keep getting in. So we have to let them know we're paying attention. We have to actually face this thing that we keep doing to ourselves. Why do we keep choosing governments that make really bad choices for us? I'm autistic. They've destroyed um, autism funding in Ontario, but hey, whatever, I'll keep going. I'll keep going. I'll keep doing my thing. I found out today there's a way to get artists grants to help support me. So that's super exciting. I'm going to try doing that this year, applying for some artist grants because I need some support to continue doing my work. And I'm actually writing a book and a course for parents, individuals, teachers, how to understand a divergent thinker and give us the space to be successful and teach us how to stoke our own fires and to use our own creative energy to get our brains to a place where we are like charged up and excited. So that is kind of what this is for me. Oh, thank you. I get that a lot, Fallen Soldier, honestly. I've been on social media for probably over 20 years. I was a medium and I was a photographer. I have been popular in many places. You should create more creative art and show it to the community. Thank you. I really appreciate that. I'm trying. I really am trying because I have been stifled my entire life by my brain. If you don't know, being autistic is like fighting this internal battle. Um, yeah, I if you look up Emma Smallbone on anything, you will find a plethora of information about this woman. I wrote a best-selling book that like not a shit ton of people read. I mean, enough for it to be best-selling. You have a great day too. Thanks so much, Tommy Taylor. I really appreciate you. But yeah, I've never shown the world what I can do because I felt so much. Um, I wish you could donate to me too. If you go on my YouTube, not my YouTube, I know we're not supposed to be shopping or doing anything, but Amazon. I have an Amazon list. If you go to my Instagram, there's actually my like big list of like PayPal, all of those things. That would be wonderful because I really just need to focus on my healing and focus on doing my artwork. And like you said, I need to focus on sharing it more and talking about how I receive this information because if you guys haven't listened to the telepathy tapes yet, you really need to go and listen. um, I really, I really, really highly recommend that every single person go and listen to the telepathy tapes because it's even for somebody who has experienced all of that stuff, um, it blew my mind and gave me new understanding of what my experience has been my whole entire life and kind of like the context of like it's hard to explain when people don't really understand what goes on in here. I don't really understand what goes on in here and how I put two and two together. And I'm only just starting to understand it. And I just like, there's always grief that comes with that because, you know, I turned 49 yesterday. I'm 49, people. So I turned 49 yesterday and I'm only just figuring out who I am. And it's a crazy experience to realize like you've gone your whole entire life not knowing that how you thought you were expected. Yeah, it's a total mind fuck, I'll tell you. Because like I'm starting to realize, like, holy cow, so many things I missed out on because I just didn't understand the context. I just didn't understand the social cues or what I was even being asked at the time. Like, I mean, I've had some pretty crazy experiences in life. I've traveled all over the world and I've been known for my mediumship and I've been known for my photography. And, I loved it all. There are no fucking complaints from me about my life, let me tell you. But it would have been nice to not have struggled the whole time and not had to have battled my mind the whole entire time because while everybody else was kind of just going, yeah, woo, I'm breezing through this. And not, I know nobody breezes through life, don't get me wrong. But before I even wake up in the morning, I've got to fight every ounce of my body to get out of bed in the morning because I'm bloody exhausted all the time. And I'm exhausted just from existing. Just from existing. Like, I wake up in the morning and I go, oh, okay, here we go. So, what do I have to do? And if I do not follow a very specific routine in a very specific order, my brain disappears and it's frightening. And then I only have about 2 hours, 3 hours. There's a window where I am fucking magnificent. It's a beautiful thing to see. Ask any of my friends because they see it the most. Because I'll call them and just go, it's amazing. But I don't really have much control over it. And I'm trying to figure out how to do that. I'm taking a neurobiology course to learn how I can kind of activate some of these things in my brain. And I've already learned how to do some of it. And that's by doing this, by being creative. That's what you're seeing. The more that I create, the more that I get into this space of just being in flow and not really thinking much and just let my body take me and do what it needs to do. Like, oh my God, I have these two spots on my shoulder where I've been bitten by ticks and they get crazy itchy. Like crazy, crazy, crazy itchy when I do this work. And everybody thinks I'm bonkers. But these two spots are right. My friend does acupuncture and she's measured it. They're right on these two activation points. And whenever I have these like big upticks in like neuroactivity, learning new things, um, they itch like crazy and they're on two activation points. So I kind of find that really fascinating if you're into acupuncture. They're on my shoulder blade, like almost right at the corners of my shoulder blades. I also think it's weird that that's where ticks decided to to bite me. Oh, thanks for the likes, guys. I would also love subscribers too. I just need people to understand that, well, I don't need anybody to understand anything, but I want people to understand that there are different ways to get through life. And not everybody's ritual, not everybody's rhythm is going to match yours. And you've pretty much got to bounce around to a million different things until you figure out what yours is. And like you may go through, like, oh my God, the transformations I've been through in my life are just insane. I've been a photographer that gets paid $10,000 a day. I've traveled for my photography. I have spoken at conferences. I have, you know, talked on TV. I like all of the things. I've done all of those things. It's not like I have been limited by how I was existing, but it could have felt much better and I could have sustained it and it wouldn't have burnt me out if I had actually learned how to incorporate some of this stuff in my everyday life. And I was teaching a course called Ritual Without Rules for years. I've been teaching this stuff for years, but it wasn't connected to the healthy body piece because I wasn't yet in my healthy body. See how that works? So it's like I had to actually do the work. I couldn't just talk about it. And then as soon as I aligned all of my things and my body got to a happier place, and it's still like I'm still working on it. It's going to be something I have to work on every single day. It's why I'm choosing to create in this way because I always think it's funny I get breathless sometimes when I do this. I don't know what that comes from. It's not from working out. I know I can do lots of that stuff, but it's like my heart rate speeds up. And I'm very curious about all of these things. It's another thing why I want to document when I do this because I want to hear myself talk about these things while I'm experiencing it. Because one of the weird things about having a weird memory is I don't remember my own stuff. So I'm pretty much doing this now for myself. And that changes everything because now I completely understand who I'm doing this for and who I'm talking to. It's me, not just me now, but younger me and older me. So I'm recording this so I have a document of what I was like because I stayed out of the camera's way for a really long time as a photographer, and there's actually like big, huge periods of life where I don't exist. There are no pictures of me. I do not exist. And that's a really weird feeling when you need images. Like, I became a photographer so I could look at images so I could remember my own life. Hmm. This is how we learn to accommodate for ourselves. I didn't realize that's what I was doing at the time. But that's what I did. I became a photographer. So I would learn how to document everything because I don't remember most of it. Like most times you see me channeling on here, if we were ever to strike up a conversation about anything I spoke to you on here, it would be long gone. And, people think that's rude. Okay, awesome. I appreciate you for stopping by. But if you think my memory issue is rudeness, you're not meant to be here. And that's where I've finally gotten like, I used to apologize for all of this stuff. I used to tell people I'm never going to remember your name. And then it's like, okay, no, you know what? People need to be more forgiving. I shouldn't have to go around in life apologizing before I've even started a conversation. So, what people really need to do is just be more fucking grace filled. And that's something that social media has taught me that there is a way to interact with people on social media that is like super argumentative and super like, I don't know, like aggressive. And there's so many ways to do it. But the best way is like with curiosity. Man, go into life with curiosity. Please be fucking curious. It is like one of the things that humanity survives on. Like, if we're not curious, we can't figure out how to get out of this friggin' situation that we've gotten ourselves into. And I'm going to tell you, one of the ways that we're going to solve this is with mushrooms. And I'm not talking just magic mushrooms, I'm talking mushrooms in the ground. They're really smart. There are mushrooms that are absorbing oil spills. There are mushrooms. There's one in Chernobyl that's figured out how to take the radiation and turn it into something nutritious. They're going to teach us. They're one of the first life forms on this planet, and they have never seen extinction. Maybe we should start listening to them. Maybe they have some wisdom that we're not aware of. Oh, not maybe for me. I know it does. I know mushrooms do because that's how I ended up here. I just started taking pictures of mushrooms to like pique my curiosity and get out of the house and be with nature. And I ended up here. becoming a psilocybin facilitator and hoping to write a book about autism and neurodivergence, and how if we just shift our way of thinking ever so slightly, that we can include everybody, and it doesn't have to be as painful as it has been for decades. Well, since there has been neurodivergent people on this planet, which is like forever. So we've been doing them a disservice because the communication that most people use on this planet is not the one that we prefer to use. And most people are not going to like to hear what form of communication that we like to use because you're not ready for it. Most people can't understand what telepathy even is, but it's how most autistics communicate, whether they know it or not. And I've known it for a long time, but you can't really have these conversations anywhere other than other people who experience it. So we haven't really had to have words for the things. Like, I still remember there's been a couple times where my kid has read my mind or vice versa. And it's been just one of those like, did that just really happen? And you just think, okay, well, that was just a fluke, or that's wishful thinking, because I know I can read other people's minds, but am I hoping too much that my kid could do it? And also, too, is anybody going to believe us? Nobody wants to believe you when you say these things. And I know what it sounds like. If it sounds like it's something impossible, something that you could never think is possible. But if you're a Joe Rogan follower, go and listen to his February 26th, I think it's 6th podcast with Kai Dickinson from the telepathy tapes, and then tell me what you think. Or just go and listen to the telepathy tapes. It just gave me context for everything that I was feeling. And because I am somebody that does go nonverbal from time to time, and woo, um, and has some of these experiences, it's been fascinating to be able to have the words to put to it. So, I mean, hey, if you're drawn to my videos, you may be experiencing what this is. You may have experienced lucid dreaming and a connection to something called the hill. You just didn't have words for it. And it's the same for me, this whole entire time that I was a medium for the last like 12, well, I saw a post today from 12 years ago. Um, for the past decade, I was never able to teach a course about mediumship because I didn't actually understand, or the way I was explaining what mediumship was not the same as what other people were explaining or feeling. And then I was like, well, then I can't teach this because I'm obviously missing something because I'm not doing it the same way everybody else is doing it. And I just stopped going to workshops, and I stopped kind of like engaging in those communities because I wasn't finding the conversations. And now, since I've listened to the telepathy tapes, my whole brain has just exploded and been like, oh my gosh, I need to find out more about how my brain works and how possibly there is this place. And I mean, with my shamanic, one of the other things I do, I'm a shamanic practitioner. So in my shamanic practices, I go under a hill, always have. I didn't realize that what I was connecting to was the hill. And now that I get it, it's just like, okay. And it's so funny because so many people are reaching out and saying, oh, if I practice with you, do you think we could go to the hill together? And if you go and watch any videos about the hill, it doesn't work that way. It's not something I can give you access to. It's not something that, is available to everybody. And it's not like it's an exclusive club. Um, if you're able to go, you're able to go, and if you're not, you're not. Um, and yes, there are things that can help you get there, but still, I don't think, no matter how much meditation you do, no matter how much you try, if it's not your time to reach that place, you won't have access to it. So, like, I also think that is the same for a lot of spirituality stuff. I'm getting crazy ringing in my ears. That's one of the things that a lot of autistics talk about is the ringing in the ears, which we're told is tinnitus, but it's not. It's our bodies aligning to that vibration, the fields that we can all communicate with. And when you tune in, the ringing disappears. And then your brain is connected to this other piece of information. And for me, where I was originally going was to the spirit world. So I was in that dimension doing mediumship and connecting to people's loved ones. And I did that for a decade until my body, like, physically couldn't do it anymore. Like, I don't want to say I was dying, but I bet you if I continued to do it, I would have become really, really sick. And I got that feeling about mediumship probably like the third or fourth year I started doing it. I was like, I don't know, man. Like, I'm seeing a I'm seeing a pattern here. And I have figured out what that is and why some of us get sick when we do this work and why some of us need to work a certain way. And for me, it's about releasing that energy. If I'm not releasing it in a creative way, whether that's with my mediumship, whether it's with my photography, whether it's with my talking, the podcast is coming, I promise. Um, I promise, I promise, I promise. Because that's what I'm good at right now is I'm a crone and we love to talk. So that's what I'm gonna do. Um, and I'm gonna start talking about how people can integrate some of these ideas that I've been learning how they can incorporate it into their own lives, because I know that's what I'm here to do. So I am creating a book called The Wild Healing. I have a website called The Wild Healing. And if you want to learn more about what I do, just go to thewildhealing.com. And if you do want to support me, like some of the lovely people that have said earlier, also just go to Smallbone.com. There's lots of links there, but if you want it really easy, just go over to my IG account and click on my links. Or I think down below, I have links to my PayPal. I have links to my, all sorts of things. My Amazon shop. I love books. My love language is books. So if you want to see me giddy like a schoolgirl, then send me some books. That is my love language. And especially if you realize what my, you know, hyper focus is and you buy me a book. Oh, on that hyper focus, I am yours for the rest of your life. I mean, not really, like, not really, really yours. But I will appreciate you for the rest of your life. I had a client once. Let me, I had a client once who was a bibliophile like me, which means like, I have a literal library in my house because I want the books myself. There's something about the physicality. This is one of my favorite books in the whole entire world, and I had a whole bunch of copies. I know I've given them to people over the years. If you have a copy, just bring it back. I have quite a huge lending library, but it is nice if they come back. Um, so this is my favorite book. He's actually coming out with a new one that is about shadow work. Anyway, my client went and got me the version of it that looks like the Bible. I was actually devastated because once in an airport, I think it was in the US, I saw a version of lamb that looked like a Bible. And not only was it set up like a Bible, like this one kind of is, the other one was on onion skin paper. I almost died. So, like, you're leafing through this book about Jesus's life. And if you don't know, it's hilarious. Christopher Moore is a comedy writer, and this is actually the gospel according to Biff, Christ's childhood pal. So they're teenagers together. They go from like being the years that there isn't much information about Jesus. This is like the creation in between. I wish they would make a movie about this. I think people would really get a kick out of it because it's making fun of all religions, but saying like, hey guys, it's all the same shit with a sense of humor. So it went and got me this, and I will never forget these people because that it made my little heart go pitter patter, pitter patter. So yes, officially, if you want to make me happy, books are how you can do it. Because I just love them. So learn what lights you up and ask for more of it. Get your juices flowing, create something, shift that energy in your body, change it from anger, sadness, into something. It could be a broken dish. I don't care. You could turn that broken dish into a lovely coffee top table afterwards, after you've smashed it. Do something with that energy. Don't just sit still and keep it stuck in your body. Go out and move it. I love you, wildlings. Go be Wild. And then come over to the wild healing and learn how to be wild and free and live divergently. Bye for now, wildlings.